Hi there, all of you Wesley Wildcats that are tuning in onto this. Remember when we had some intramural teams? We called it the Wesley Wildcats. Man, harken back to the good days. Um, I hear they were really good and never lost a game, and that's man, something really to live up to. Uh, how are you doing? I'm doing all right. Riding the highs, riding the lows, doing all of it. I'm sure we're all having ups and downs. We had just PSA real quick. Wednesday nights, I think we're doing it like 4:30. We're doing the we're doing some like Zoom chats, and I know Haley's been posting some links so that everyone can get involved on that. Also 4:30, and I did it last week. It was a good time. Some good chats, some good conversations. Talked about the video games that everyone's getting into right now. Even like me myself, like I'm not a video game person of at least historically have not been, but since the like quarantine lifestyle has kind of gotten kickstarted, I have found myself getting much more into that lately. Needing something to fill the days, be relaxing, and I don't know. It's really been good for toning down a lot of my anxieties, getting some of those like really mellow ones in there. The ones like the really ethereal music, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just picking cabbage, and that's all I have to do. That's really good. It's been really relaxing for me. Anyways, so yeah, that's tomorrow, 4:30, and look out for the link on this current Denton Wesley students Facebook page, where that link will become available to everyone, so we can get in on that. Awesome. Let's talk about the music. We all came here for the music. I So I hope you like jazz because we got some jazz this week. Been big on the jazz thing, and the the first one that I put on here is Bobby McFerrin. What's the Bobby McFerrin song? Is it "Lean on Me"? Is that the one he did? Anyways, Bobby McFerrin. It was like one of like the pop songs that's like everyone knows. It's like one of those like classic. I don't know, camp songs like Kumbaya equivalents. Anyways, Bobby McFerrin and Chick Corea are together on this one, and Chick Corea plays piano. It's one of his pieces, Spain, that we're doing on it, and Bobby McFerrin, he just does vocals, but I wouldn't, and I guess you'd call it singing, but it's a really innovative style that he does on there. Like you can tell that it's like he had this like really crazy talent that he gave like everything to develop best he could. Like it is an incredibly honed instrument, like his voice that he has, and has found some like really creative ways. Like he uses like a microphone to, or to create a cool effect with it, and like mimic other like wind instruments, like maybe I don't know, compared to like flutes. He's kind of, you can see he's like imitating a recorder thing on his microphone with it, so he's like thinking about the music, and but except it it's all done with the human voice, and it's just so much more dynamic because of that, and I think that's a really cool thing. Since this is a Wesley, we're on a Wesley talk right now, and the conversation of I don't know, spirituality and this and whatnot. My one of like the labels that I put on my spiritual faith whatever experience like is humanism. I think like the human is something to be exalted in the human experience, and that when we trace this like through like the history of religions, where like you go back to like the ancient like Sumerian and Egyptians, where a lot of like the deity figures that they had were like adaptations of like kind of like combination of like man and animal, like man and bird, man and bull, those things. And then at some point in Western cultures, the human form, and like all of like the incredible things that the human body can accomplish and that we can accomplish with this begin to start like surfacing. Like that's when we start seeing deities that more resemble human form, human likeness, and we start seeing all kinds of arts that that exalt the the human form, and what we can do, like think like Statue of David, right? Like other things like Birth of Venus. Well, no, Birth of Venus. That's later. That's Renaissance, but it does call back on that time when a lot of like religions were just sort of beginning to think about that. Anyways, by McFerrin using like his voice in an incredible way, and really I think reminds us like that is such a sacred instrument that we all possess to have and to use, and that's brilliant. So cool, yeah. And more on just like jazz. There's some other jazz pieces in here, like Autumn Leaves is in here. That's really cool. There's a Pat Metheny. I put a Pat Metheny in the other week. Here's another Pat Metheny one, Bright Size Life. And a Robert Glasper trio doing adapting a Radiohead piece into a jazz standard. And so, like the way, if you're not as familiar with jazz, the way a lot of jazz works is they'll like find a motif, a theme that they'll put at the top of it, that they'll just kind of like, that will be what everything revolves around, that everything pivots around. Like it lays out the chords that are going to be used to, and everyone's going to like vamp on, and then that the soloists are going to be able to solo off of. And it establishes like the groove up top also that everyone's going to work off of. And so I think, and I did some jazz when I was in high school and have like played around here and there. And jazz has been integral to how I've conducted a lot of my life, being that when you're looking for when you come to a situation that's unfamiliar and you're trying to like be in the moment, figure out like what that moment is, like it's the same process for me, like playing jazz is to like living in any moment, which is like look for like the motif, look for the groove, look at what everyone's like tuning into and doing it that, like what are the changes that you need to keep up with. And then once you understand what those changes are and how like the piece moves, how everything moves around you, and then you start riffing off of it. Then you start playing around with like, what if we do this melody, but maybe do some like shake up the rhythm somehow. What if we started like adding some like a little bit like funky notes in there, whatnot. So that's been listening to a lot of jazz, maybe for that reason, and also because like it's such an in the moment art form. Like what is created there can only be created then, can only be a product of this one time. And so it's like this one, like say it's like I'm looking at this piece, this Robert Glasper. It's like 10 minutes long. Those 10 minutes, like that are spent there, like in that space together, like become this ode, this like cathedral, like set in its own time, where all the musicians spent like decorating like that instance of time, and it cannot be recreated. It is completely its own like masterpiece. That's a culmination of every moment of these musicians' lives up to this point, everything in the environment around them, including the audience that's there, that's present. So I think that's an incredible piece, and like something that can really only be accomplished in jazz music. No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it can only be accomplished in jazz music, but I think that is an incredible merit of jazz music. So anyways, I'm sorry, I've talked about jazz enough. What else do we have on here? Mumford & Sons. Hey, there's a lot of you might not know this. There was a time you couldn't walk into the Wesley without hearing Mumford & Sons. It was everyone's favorite band, and everyone really grooved to that on a lot of different levels. So anyways, whatever that is to y'all, I just want to introduce it to become part of like the Wesley continuum, that we're all connect you with like a bit of the past, the history of the the community of people that the Wesley has been. So yeah, what else? There was one that I was excited to share. What was it? Where's it? Bruce Springsteen, Atlantic City. Who did a cover? The band did a cover of this. There's a band called The Band. Don't be confused. Anyways, Atlantic City. There's a line in the chorus of that one. It's was everything dies. Maybe I'm not getting this verbatim. Maybe everything that dies someday comes back, and I think it speaks to this like secular, like a cycle, secular. Am I saying this right? Type of movement that happens, like a pattern of life, much like jazz, where like you're back at the top of the chart again, and then we're doing it again, and we're doing something a little bit different this time, just riffing on our experiences of having visited it before. But I think just kind of during these quarantine times where we're like, what's up? What's happening? I don't know, man. That type of secular nature of the world, the universe, of the everything is good to remind ourselves of right now. Just like right now, things are apart. They're a little bit loose. One day it'll be back together. We'll be riding high across. Who knows? Maybe you're having the best time of your life right now in quarantine. I hope so. I hope someone is. But anyways, but there's a time and place for everything. The seasons, as we say. And so I think he really hits on that. Like there's, the low points, the high points, there's birth, there's death, there's all of it wrapped in together in this weird little thing called life. Anyways, that's it for me this week. We'll be together soon. We'll see each other again. Nothing is forever. Everything is temporary. And until that moment comes, my dog just opened the door. Until that moment comes, see you later.